Welcome, everyone, to today's deep dive. I want to give a massive welcome to you, our listener, the learner. We are really glad you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
So, our mission today is to extract the core insights from a really powerful, highly motivational speech. It was delivered by Barack Obama, and it was aimed at students who were just embarking on a new school year.
Right, the back to school speech.
Exactly. And, right out of the gate, because our source material today does originate from a very prominent political figure, we need to explicitly state that we are looking at this, well, impartially.
Yeah, that's an important disclaimer.
Right. We aren't taking political sides here, and we're definitely not endorsing specific viewpoints. We are just impartially conveying and analyzing the ideas that are contained in the original text, purely as a study on motivation and, human potential.
I mean, we're just here for the insights, right?
Exactly. So to kick us off, I want you to imagine this. You're a kid, and it is 4:30 in the morning.
Ugh, brutal.
Right. Monday through Friday, without fail. It's pitch black outside. You are completely exhausted, and you are sitting at your kitchen table, literally falling asleep mid-sentence.
I could feel the exhaustion just hearing that.
Yeah, well, your mother is sitting right across from you, teaching you extra lessons before she heads off to her job. And she's doing this simply because she couldn't afford to send you to the school all the other American kids were attending.
Which is such a massive sacrifice. Yeah.
It is. And when you inevitably groan and complain about the ungodly hour, she just looks at you and says, "This is no picnic for me either, Buster."
That is just, I mean, what a brilliant hook.
Right. That's an actual real-life anecdote from a young Barack Obama when he was living in Indonesia.
And it really perfectly sets up the core theme of this entire speech, which is personal responsibility in education.
It really does.
Because we move from this very vivid image of his mother's 4:30 a.m. efforts to this hard realization that, well, external pressure can only take a person so far.
Right. There's a limit.
Exactly. The speech spends a good amount of time acknowledging that he frequently talks about the responsibilities of others, like parents keeping kids off the TV or the Xbox.
Oh, yeah. The classic distractions.
And he validates the responsibilities of teachers to inspire their students and the government's role in setting high standards and, turning around failing schools.
Which are all super important structural things.
They are. But he asserts that literally none of this matters unless the student actually shows up, pays attention, and does the hard work themselves.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this dynamic is everywhere, right? Not just for kids in school.
Oh, for sure. Adults do this all the time.
Yes. It's like having a state-of-the-art gym, you know? You have a world-class personal trainer and this perfectly calibrated nutrition plan.
Sounds expensive.
Right. But all of that external support means absolutely nothing if you refuse to actually pick up the weights yourself. You cannot outsource the sweating.
That is a perfect analogy. And it hits on exactly why this matters so much psychologically.
How so?
Because the speech is aggressively shifting the locus of control. It moves it from external forces to internal agency.
Okay, internal agency. Break that down for me.
Basically, education is framed here as the ultimate tool for self-discovery. The drive has to come from the inside.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he uses these really specific examples in the source. He says, you might be meant to be a great writer.
But you wouldn't know it.
Exactly. You won't know it until you're forced to write that assigned English paper.
Right, it forces it out of you.
Yeah. Or maybe a science project could lead you to inventing the next iPhone or like a new vaccine.
Wow, those are big stakes.
Or joining the debate team could literally spark a path to becoming a mayor or a Supreme Court justice.
That's wild to think about. It's like the work itself is the mechanism that uncovers who you actually are.
Exactly. But, having established that this drive has to come from within, the discussion in the text logically pivots to the barriers that make finding that internal drive so difficult.
Because it's easy to say, just pick up the weights, but life is messy.
It is incredibly messy. And this speech really grounds itself in empathy here.
Yeah, he gets pretty personal, doesn't he?
He really does. Obama shares his own struggles. He talks about his father leaving when he was just 2 years old.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah, being raised by a single mom who was struggling to pay the bills. He talks about feeling lonely and even getting into trouble.
So he's not just preaching from some perfect pedestal.
Not at all. He also brings up Michelle Obama's background. He mentions that neither of her parents went to college and they lacked money.
Right.
And then the source lists these very real-world, heavy hurdles that students face today.
Like what?
Things like unsafe neighborhoods, a family facing a sudden job loss, lacking supportive adults in their lives, and just intense peer pressure.
Wait, so what does this all mean? There's a fascinating tension here that I really want to push back on.
Okay, let's hear it.
He acknowledges these massive systemic hurdles, right? And very real personal traumas. But then he immediately pivots to saying there is no excuse for not trying.
Yeah, the no excuse line?
Right, so how do those two ideas coexist without it just being, I don't know, toxic positivity?
What's fascinating here is how the text carefully balances those two things.
Okay, how does he balance it?
The speech deeply validates the hardship, but it fundamentally refuses to let it become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay, so it's acknowledging the pain without enabling giving up.
Exactly. It's insisting that you write your own destiny, regardless of the hand you were dealt.
Mm.
And he uses these really powerful, specific proof points to back this up.
Oh, the peer examples, those were incredible.
They really were. He talks about Jasmine Perez from Roma, Texas.
Right.
She didn't even speak English initially when she started school, and her parents hadn't attended college.
Which is a huge barrier right there.
Massive.
Yeah.
But she worked incredibly hard, got into Brown University, and is on her way to becoming a doctor in public health.
Wow. Just wow.
Yeah. And then there's Andoni Schultz from Los Altos, California.
His story really got to me.
I mean, it's intense. He fought brain cancer since he was 3 years old. Yeah, and the treatments he had to endure actually affected his memory, so it required him to do hundreds of extra hours of work just to keep up.
Hundreds of extra hours. That redefines hard work, honestly.
It really does. But he never fell behind, and he was headed off to college.
That is just incredible resilience.
And the last example he uses is Chantel Steve from Chicago, Illinois. She bounced between foster homes in some really tough neighborhoods.
Which is so destabilizing for a kid.
Unbelievably destabilizing. Yet despite all of that, she started an anti-gang program and graduated with honors.
So if circumstances don't define you, what does? I mean, we really have to transition to how the speech breaks down the mechanics of achieving that kind of success.
Yeah, because it's not magic.
Right. And how you handle the inevitable failures along the way. Because they're definitely going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. The text does a great job of dispelling what I call the TV myth.
The idea that success is just handed to you.
Exactly. Dispelling this myth that success comes easily via rapping or basketball or, starring on reality TV.
Right. Like those are the only ways out. And they're supposedly effortless.
Yeah, the speech shuts that down. It makes it clear that success is inherently difficult.
Yeah.
You aren't going to love every teacher. You aren't going to find every single assignment instantly relevant to your life.
I certainly didn't.
Right. Who does?
Yeah.
But crucially, the speech reframes failure, and it uses some really famous examples to do it.
Like J.K. Rowling.
Yes, her first Harry Potter book being rejected 12 times before it was finally published.
And Michael Jordan, too.
Exactly. Being cut from his high school varsity team and missing thousands of shots and losing hundreds of games in his professional career.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. The way the text reframes negative moments is just brilliant.
It is a complete paradigm shift.
It really is. It says that a bad grade just means you need to study more. It doesn't mean you're stupid.
Right.
And getting in trouble just means you need to try harder to act right. It's not a permanent stamp on your character.
It completely removes the ego from the failure.
Yes. It makes me think of this analogy, like, failure isn't a stop sign, right?
Okay, I like this.
It's just your GPS recalculating your route, Like, you don't throw the whole car away when you make a wrong turn.
Right, you just take a different turn next time. That's a great way to look at it.
You just follow the new directions.
And that builds perfectly into another major concept in the speech, which is the idea of seeking help.
Which is so hard to do, even for adults.
It is incredibly hard. But the speech flicks the script on asking for help.
How so?
It calls asking for help a sign of strength and courage. It says it's not a weakness at all.
Because it takes guts to admit you don't know something.
Exactly. Vulnerability is brave. And the source actually gives actionable advice here.
What does he recommend?
He tells the students to find a trusted adult.
Mm-hmm.
A parent, a grandparent, a coach, or a counselor. Just someone to help you navigate when you're stuck.
Right, so you don't have to carry the whole burden alone.
Precisely. And from there, the speech does this really fascinating zoom out.
Oh, yeah. The macro view.
Yes. It zooms way out from the individual student's personal struggles to the massive historical stakes of their education.
It gets really big, really fast.
It really does.
Yeah.
It poses this underlying question, like, why does this personal effort actually matter on a grand scale?
And the answer the speech gives is pretty heavy. It literally equates quitting on school to quitting on the country.
Yeah, that is a huge statement.
It is. It says the nation relies on these students. Like, we need their math and science skills to cure cancer and AIDS and to protect the environment.
Absolutely.
And we need their history and social studies skills to fight poverty and homelessness and discrimination.
Right. The critical thinking skills.
Yeah. And their creativity is needed to build companies that boost the economy.
And then he traces this incredible historical lineage. He speaks directly to the audience, framing it as students who sat where you sit.
I loved that framing.
It's so powerful. He says 250 years ago, students who sat where you sit waged a revolution and founded the nation.
Wow.
And 75 years ago, students who sat where you sit overcame a depression, won World War II, fought for civil rights, and put a man on the moon.
And then he brings it to the modern era, right?
Yeah, he says 20 years ago, students who sat where you sit founded Google, Twitter, and Facebook.
It really puts you in that historical timeline. But I have to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it too heavy a burden to place on young people? I mean, telling them the future of America literally rests on whether they finish their algebra homework?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
It sounds intense.
It sounds super intense.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's actually rhetorical brilliance.
Okay, defend that for me.
Well, by elevating these mundane, everyday tasks, like doing a worksheet or reading a chapter, it turns them into a grand historical mission.
Ah, I see.
It gives profound existential purpose to just being a student. You aren't just doing math to get a B-. You're doing math to eventually cure diseases.
Right, it turns a chore into a calling.
Exactly. It completely recontextualizes the daily grind.
So let's kind of distill all of this for the learner listening right now.
Sound good.
We started by looking at this shift from external to internal responsibility, right? The idea that no one can lift the weights for you.
Yeah, owning your own locus of control.
Exactly. And then we talked about refusing to let circumstances, no matter how tragic or systemic, dictate your destiny.
Because you hold the pen.
Right. And we looked at reframing failure. Like, it's just a GPS recalculating, and how asking for help is actually a massive strength.
And finally, viewing your personal education, your personal growth, as this crucial chapter in a nation's ongoing story.
Yeah, and for you listening right now, why should you care? Well, whether you are prepping for a boardroom meeting, or you're catching up on a totally new field, or you're just insanely curious about the world.
These principles apply everywhere.
They absolutely do. Owning your trajectory, recalculating after failures, and finding deep purpose in the literal homework of your daily life that is universally applicable.
This raises an important question, something really interesting to think about.
Oh, what's that?
Well, the speech focuses entirely on the student's responsibility to learn the skills necessary to fix the nation's problems, right?
Right. Poverty, disease, discrimination.
Yeah. But if we are continually handing the baton to the next generation to solve our most difficult problems, what does that say about the structures we are leaving behind for them?
Oh, wow. That's a really good point.
Right. Like, what if the ultimate responsibility of an education isn't just to learn how to fix the world's existing problems, but to critically question and actually dismantle the very systems that created those problems in the first place?
That is a phenomenal thought to leave on. A total paradigm shift.
Something to mull over on your commute, for sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much to the learner for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope you found it valuable.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us.
And remember, the next time you're tired and you want to give up and someone is pushing you to keep going, it's no picnic for me either, Buster.
See you next time, everyone.
Catch you on the next deep dive.